Hey guys, welcome to the Stream Space, or welcome back if you've been here before. We are much to the, I'm doing this video because I was watching a video on how to do one of these, and as a technician and somebody who's I'm formally trained in this type of stuff, I got a little frustrated with this person's video because they were doing a lot of things that are like bad practice. So I'm gonna do a good practice version of this video. They were using like razor blades around flex cables and other kinds of stuff, so like just a whole bunch of things that drive me crazy. But this is how to swap the upper screen on a Nintendo 2DS XL, the new one. So I'll show you the device. I don't remember where I put it. This guy. This is a device from a client, and we've got our replacement screen already. So we're gonna swap that out for them, so they can get rid of the big blue splotch right in the middle of the screen that looks like somebody did the people's elbow to the freaking thing. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty rough. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to set our camera up so you guys can see above the device. And we'll start with kind of like pointing where everything is. We'll do our best to make sure you guys get a good visual of each thing. And we'll point out what to watch out for as the video proceeds. Okay guys, so you can see we've got our device here. So just give you a little show. The hinge is a little loose, as they mentioned. I did tell them that's fairly normal, especially as they get a little older. I don't know what this button does. Where is your power switch? Oh, okay. Power switches is right here. So we're just going to fire this up so I can show you the damage. Excuse the dirt. I'm not responsible for that part. Typical Nintendo DS startup is a little on the sluggish side. So you can see this is the mark right here. This is pretty rough, so we're going to swap out this panel. I've been going over how best to do it, but we'll start with taking the bottom plate apart, because that's kind of like where you have to get started. So we're gonna start by powering it down. Then power off. Wait for the lights to go out, which they have. Okay, you want to take out anything like a memory card, stylus, any of that stuff. Okay, so there's the memory card. Usually I put these back with client stuff, but this time I'm just going to put it in my tool tray because that's just how it's going to work. So let's put it here. Now, this is kind of where we get a little into the unique side of things, and it's probably going to be really hard to see, but that's a tri-tip screw. These are Nintendo's proprietary screws. They are actually probably one of the most irritating inventions that these guys have come up with, but it is sadly enough, that's their oldest type of screw. I think this is it. This is a small tri-tip. Yeah. Okay. So we are gonna start with. We have a big tri-tip and a small tri-tip. So we're gonna start with this small one. Probably keep the Phillips head available. All right. So we got our tri-tip. So we're gonna start by taking all of these off. Take your time. Also, I'm going to go grab one. It's not formally what it's for, but I have a few of them. These are magnetic mats for screws. Okay, so technically this is for an iPod or an iPhone or something, but I've just hung on to them over the years, and you know, I can't tell you how many times they've kind of saved me from screws rolling off the edge and stuff, because they're quite excellent. So we'll start by taking these first four out, pop them onto the mat. Be extra careful when you are doing this first pull away, okay? These are the cameras, and they are actually screwed to this entire back plate. So if you go to pull it away too hard, and this is from experience, by the way, I did this on a 2DS, non-folding. It's the same way. The camera is screwed to the actual plate. Okay, so once these are all released, you should be able to start prying this up. Yeah, you can see it's already lifting. I have tools to make this part a little easier. I do recommend using these types of tools just so you don't, you know, finger pull too hard. Excuse my fingers. They're kind of fat. Right, so you have to work at it a little bit to get them in there. But if you pop it open halfway, you can kind of see the seam. So get a fingernail in there. Okay, I'll try and show you that. You get a fingernail in there. You use that to pry it away. Again, gently, because you don't want to wreck that camera cable. Luckily, they're not expensive, because I'm sure there's a lot of people have broken those. Okay. Okay, so we're just gonna pop that lid open just because seems like it's kind of part of it. I'm just gonna make sure there's no screws hiding. I'm always paranoid about that. Okay, so we're gonna, it's being a jerk. So once you get the clips that it doesn't have many of them, but once you get those to pop, okay. We're just slowly working our way around. Try to give you the best angles possible, like of the most important stuff. You want to make sure you don't slice through any cables too, so it's like really important to do this part carefully. There's also other things that are connected to the bottom. You have your speakers down here, this one and this one. Try to get you a better view of that. So you can see the little slit, that's your speakers. So you want to make sure you pull away gently. Know where those are, all right? Okay. So I just got the clips to undo. And let's just pull away, super gentle. Come back here, keep an eye on what you're doing. Okay, should we just see that ribbon cable? That is what I'm talking about. That can tear very, very easily. Oh, buttons fell out. Well, the sensor pad. I think it's we'll fit it back into the track. That's not hard. That's the best way. Now, one of the things that I saw, and this is one of the things I took issue with in the last video, is in here, you can see the ribbon cables connector. Try and highlight that a little bit better for you. It is, I'll show you it better when we actually get it disconnected, but it is what I call a lift gate. So it holds ribbon cables in place. Actually, I'll just probably use my hand. Okay, there it is. See that ribbon cable? Okay, what I took issue with in the last person's video that I watched was preparing for this, is they were prying it open They didn't disconnect the cable properly. They lifted it with, they just pulled on it until it released. Okay, and the other things to watch out for, see the cables? There's the speaker cables. So if you pull too hard, you're going to de-socket those cables. They'll come out of the little holster. It's best to pinch them with a fingernail and your index finger maybe. Okay. All right. So I'll show you everything. So there's the ribbon cable that I was talking about. It will not be that hard to reconnect it, which is totally fine. But the speaker cables, right? They're screwed to this. You cannot undo that until you have this off. So you might as well not even try. Let's get the volume slider back in place. I just got to figure out exactly how it sits in there. Yeah, there we go. So just something to watch out for. Your volume slider it'll just come out. You'll have to line it up with the actual volume slider. That's that piece right there. Just something to note when you're putting it back together. You'll have to figure that out. So right now we have the bottom plate off, memory card out. We'll just kind of set that in there so everything's all together. The person that I was watching do this, like, I don't mind watching people do stuff like this, but like, he was doing everything the hard way, right? So the battery has a finger lift in here, and there is a piece underneath it that glues it down, but otherwise, it's perfectly possible to just peel it away with a fingernail. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't like using metal tools around batteries, and that is because I've worked on iPhones. All stuff with batteries should be done really, really gently. Okay, you hear that? That's that. A little piece, but he was using actual like full tilt prying methodology, and he was using multiple tools to do it, a screwdriver on one end and a metal pry tool on the other, and I just gotta say that it's just particularly dangerous because if you puncture that cell, if you put a screwdriver through it and those cells fuse, they'll explode. They're not meant for that. So just FYI and be cautious. Okay. This is the antenna. We'll use a set of tweezers to just undo that. He was prying it off with fingernails, but again, it's proper tools for proper things, right? So I can get one side on this side and then like this. Okay, you can kind of see it. And I just lean the tweezers back gently. Okay, done. That's now done. Have to unwire them from their track because they are attached to the top. You want to make sure you're doing this really carefully because we don't want to pull too hard. You can see in there, right? So we'll just undo that part. And then it comes out of this little wired track here, nice and gentle. It's not built very well to come out of there. So you have to pull that out. You can see where it pinches actually on the cable. It pinches it pretty hard. So these ribbon cables are probably your most important things to kind of be aware of. because they are the ones that lead upward, right? So this lift gate on this one, oh, let me look at it. Is it a lift gate? It is a lift gate, but it's from the other direction, right? So you can see I've now lifted that. So then use tweezers to just pull that loose, loop that through. Best, probably, just as a thought here, when you're putting it back together, to feed that through before you start sealing anything up. We're going to be trying careful because I don't know what that actually is for. Well, anyways, one of the things I took so much grief with on the other person's video is that they were using an X-Acto knife near some of these cables, and I can tell you right now, using an X-Acto knife too close to the wrong thing, right? It just is something you gotta be wary of, because if you do it wrong, stuff is not gonna go back together in the way that you want it to. Okay. Okay, so I think I've done all of the ribbon cables. Okay, now we can do these two screws, which this is where the Phillips head will come into play. Probably use a fairly fine point Phillips head to get started. Try to keep your mat for this fairly well sorted too. So I've only got 4 screws on it until this one, but I'm keeping each phase that I've had to take screws off of, keeping them all separate. We're going to take a brief breather, and then we're going to come back for the rest of this. Okay, we're ready for the next lesson here. Okay, so I just wanted to, I have a diagram on my computer, and I wanted to go review it, because I don't like doing these without like kind of knowing what I'm dealing with here, right? So I'm actually applying a little bit of lift right here. So I was like, I want to take this off, but I'm not sure how. I have to pull that cable through one way or the other. So a little bit of lift so I could get it through this part right here. So you can see after I applied that lift, I was able to pull it right out. Some ribbon cables that I've undone, I may not actually need to have undone. Next up is this piece. This is where the camera and everything is. It's just, you can see it actually connects. You can see the red wire kind of like this goes behind there. Okay. There were 2 Phillips screws that held this in, as you saw me remove them. Okay. Just being like super gentle, because you don't want to pull on this cable too hard. This is an antenna cable. Your Wi-Fi won't work properly if you break this. Okay, and you want to see how it goes in there. You can see that it's actually got a little loop area that it can hide in. So you want to make sure that it, you clip that back in, or else it's not going to fit properly. This next cable, so you can see right here, that is a ambient light sensor. Okay, we're going to just pull this piece of plastic away. Goes in like that. You can see there's the loops for the wiring. One is for that end, one is for light sensor. We're going to lift the light sensor up gently, really, really gently. You don't want to tear these cables, because when they're torn, that's it, you're done. You have to replace them. Okay, so we're just setting all the stuff for this device in here. There's all of its things. Kind of makes a nice little dish to keep them in. That's the camera right here, and that's actually the next thing we're going to remove. Okay, so I'm just going to lift that up. I've already disconnected the ribbon cable because I knew that I would have to. You just see it pops right out. So we're just going to, again, drop it into the bottom tray. One thing I know I was reviewing is this right here. I'll see if I can get some light in there. Okay, and that's this part right where my finger is. That has to come out before you continue pulling. I mean, actually, I'm not sure if it does. I actually don't know if you need to remove that. I mean, I still think I will. Okay. Oh, ha! That landed on my hand. That could have went so much worse. Okay, and then the little piece for it right here. I'm going to put them back together now that they're not inside the device. There's these two pieces right here. They will just push back down, just like that. The clear one will probably have to go in first. I just want them to stay together while I'm doing the work. Okay? So now we're getting to some of the trickier parts, right? So we're coming up to a point. So you can see that's the ribbon cable that actually leads up to the screen. This red cable is also part of it. I like to close all the lift gates just so they don't get like caught on something and then break, because that is what holds them in, right? So if those lift gates are damaged or broken, they don't hold things in anymore. So, you know, a wrong impact and suddenly this one doesn't need to be undone. I re-clipped that one because I didn't need to undo it. Sometimes I overdo it, but I try to be as gentle as I can. Okay, so all right. Next up, this piece right here. Now, unfortunately, I'm really going to try my best not. So I should actually bring this so you guys can see it. This piece right here is one of the next things to come off. Okay, so the next thing we have to do, and I had to go prep for this part, that's why I broke away for this one, is we actually have to heat this and pry up until we can get a corner up. And the best part about this is, like, I can apply heat a little more negligently because we're not putting this, it's coming off, right? So, and the screen is already damaged. If you were dealing with this part right here, this piece of plastic is covering the screws to remove this lip. And this has to come off before you can even take the screen off. You can't remove the screen with these parts still attached. Some people like to do this through the front. I would say that is infinitely more difficult, so probably not recommended. So anyways, plus it is part of the process of detaching top from bottom so you can actually pull the screen out. So we have we have a heat gun. Right? This is people like to say, oh, use a hair dryer. I'm gonna counter that with use the tools made for the job. A lot of these repair videos are done and they are using like willy-nilly tools and things that don't quite work. Like for example, those tri-tip screws, you don't try and force those open with like a flathead or something. You get tri-tip screws, a tri-tip bit to remove it. So here we go. We got this guy, my trusty pry tool. It's probably my favorite one. You can see I can't quite get in there, and I'm not going to push too hard because plastic is obviously gentle. So, right, we're gonna apply the heat so the glue loosens up, and then we're gonna go from there. Hopefully we can get this off of here. We're gonna apply low and even heat. You want to push it towards it, right? Continuing. It's gonna kind of run some havoc on our stickers. I kind of feel bad about that. People decorate this stuff. It's very personal. This is the other reason that we removed the cameras and stuff, because cameras are very sensitive to heat. They will potentially be damaged by that heat, right? So I'd say we've put in about a minute of even heat application. So we're gonna set that aside. I should be able to still touch this with my hands. Okay, so we're gonna try and get in there. This might be one of those things where I have to do this more than once. I'm also being careful because you don't want the pry tool to slip, especially if you're using a metal one like I am. Oh my. All right, more heat. You also need to make sure you're not applying so much that you actually melt the actual plastic. Like, don't do that. Or you're going to be replacing more than just the screen. Oh, this is kind of frustrating, actually. This part specifically. I don't like working with heat. I hate working with heat. Makes me uncomfortable, but also, like, just the amount of work you have to do. I don't like doing this. This is my least favorite tool to use. You can see, though, that it is actually working. I don't like using razor blades because, A, the risk of cutting yourself is pretty high. So I will really just use them as an entry tool and nothing else, because they make me so nervous, between being the risk of cutting myself and also the damage they can do. So then you work your way, and basically work your way through some of the adhesive. You're gonna want to be gentle because there's a lot of adhesive in there. Okay, so we're just, you can see we're being like super gentle. Okay, there's going to be some little clips too. They do hold it down. This is a good time that you can get some guitar picks or actual pry picks. I use these as, these are great for actually just keeping things from sealing back up as you try to pry things apart. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get our way in. And the glue is soft enough that we can actually kind of roll this. Right? Now, if you cared about your screen, you would not be prying at this. Luckily, it is already broken. Okay, so the glue is probably cooled back down, so we're gonna grab one more pick because we're gonna start pulling the other side up. Right? So we're gonna work our way down. You can see it's just slowly. I apologize if the camera goes out of focus. It doesn't like the vibration. Okay, so now we're gonna, now that we got some of these points kind of like stopped, we're gonna apply a little more heat. So again, nice and gentle, not too much. Push it towards the ground. It should be enough to get it moving again. I can feel it's a huge difference. So let's trade places here. We're going to give this to that. We're going to take that out. Okay. Okay, back to pulling up. You don't want to bend too sharply. I don't like doing that as like a personal preference, but we don't want those bend marks to like stay after we're done swapping things out. After you get to a certain point, it'll probably just slide off, like literally. My cloth here is moving around. Okay. Once you've lifted it up enough to get your hands in there, you can slowly pull up on it. My hands are getting a little sore. It's like Velcro. Okay, we're off. Yeah, and you can see, minimal warp. So we're gonna go just like the other stuff. We're gonna put it by our other parts. I've moved them off of the bench because, you know, if you fly past, like you're trying to open one of these up and something suddenly lets go, you could smack your tools and your parts, maybe hurt yourself. So I usually like to, when we start moving at the point where I have to pry at something, I like to take the pry items, take all the tools away so you can pry without having to necessarily worry about it. Okay, so this is still super sticky. So it's kind of perfect. We can continue to use it. What we'll probably do after the swap is done, we're grabbing our magnetic mat again because we did put that away too, because I mean nothing like sending the minuscule screws that this comes with flying. Okay, I'm just gonna move these a little closer so I can set up a new stage. Okay, so we got one out. I like to keep each stage with it. I apologize if this isn't the best repair video you've ever seen. We do not have all the equipment for this yet, but I really wanted to do this with you guys so you could see kind of like exactly how much work this is. Okay, so there's 4 screws that hold the lid plate to the back of the thing. They come up pretty easy. Right? So it's now just this piece right here, this lid, is now probably a pry tool away. Grab our guitar pick and our pry tool, and we can probably get in there just like this. You can kind of see where the screw, you can see where the clips are. Oh, a little bit of a notch in the plastic there. I gotta try not to do that because this is not mine. Okay. See? Now it's coming up. Okay, so we're in. Oh. Sometimes these can be a little tricky. So I will hold that there. Just slide. Okay, there we go. Ah, they don't want to stay. They don't want to stay. But looks like fingernail force is actually probably fine for this one. So you can see it's got little clips that holds it on. These are a bit tricky, but once you get these first round of clips done, they kind of just pop out. The ones in the hinge area require a little bit of persistence because they do not want to come out. Okay, plate's off. So when you're doing this, so you can see I got some little notches right here, but honestly, a little bit of sandpaper and those will come right off. You know, it'll look like it hasn't had it happen. Obviously, you gotta be gentle. This is what the inside of it looks like. No adhesive. There's clips here, but your main thing is going to be the outer clips on the outer edges. So you can start from a corner. You can probably, after the screw's up, you can lift it up a little, get your pry tool and your pick in, and then start just gently working your way around the edges, starting from over here, going all the way around. So another part taken off, and it's going to go where it belongs with the rest of the other parts. Obviously, we are now in the territory of getting ready to actually swap the screen itself. So I'm just pulling some stuff aside. Now, the screen is held on with a lot of glue. So in this case, like, we don't care about damaging something like this because it's already broken. So I'm going to apply a little bit of heat to the back just to kind of loosen it up a little. I don't want to go too crazy because now we don't have that many layers between us and the bottom screen. So we're starting to get kind of at the back there. There is a layer of glue. It's a kind of a ring that goes around the LCD. So you're going to hear this probably break. Just FYI, you're going to hear cracking and stuff. It's pretty normal. These don't tend to come off in a single piece, right? So also be careful because, again, they're not going to come off in a single piece. So you may have to peel them back layer by layer. And there's a good chance that they're going to break in shatter. Like, it's going to be like glass shards. Okay, so we got, yeah, there's the first part. Okay, we're going to pry it from in here. That's your Wi-Fi antenna, so don't cut that, obviously. I'm very much a person that likes to, I'll get my hands in there as soon as possible so that I don't do a whole bunch of damage. But sometimes some screen replacements, they're not going to come off nice. It's just a fact. Right? So this piece, all of this, it will guaranteed be some cleanup to do on the actual screen area. You do not want anything in between, in that space in between. You want to make sure that's super clean. As another YouTuber warned, this is not a clean repair. This is not an easy repair. Definitely something you should get somebody else to do if you are not an electronics person. I'm not afraid of getting glass on my fingers. You can see, see the glass is not coming loose, right? So I can just kind of poke that. Okay, a little more heat, it seems. Being even more careful, because like I said, we're getting to that point where this is the only thing. There's only one layer of plastic between us and the bottom screen, right? So we don't want to push. We don't want to push so hard that we break that screen or anything like that. Okay. I wear glasses, so I have built-in safety glasses, so I would suggest, though, to perhaps wear some when you're doing this part. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is where I slowly apply a little more glue, a little more glue. I would like that to lift off really nice. Is as few pieces as possible because I hate cleaning up glass areas. Whatever tool you use for this part, do your best not to scratch the inside. Because it's going to be fine, it'll still work, but it will bug the shit out of you because it'll be on the inner lens. Okay, now we're going to just quickly switch to a plastic tool so we can just start lifting some of this away. Okay, and we want, again, a little more heat. So what they mean by, like, this is not a, this is a fancy repair. I don't normally do too many of these, but I don't care because I know a lot of Nintendo stuff. They don't openly say that they build it to be repaired, but I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe because they're going to mainly have their own people work on it. Yeah, see? So there we go. There's the lens. Okay, so we got the worst of it off. Oh boy. That was work. Okay, so we want to check for any glass that might be lingering. This is a really good opportunity to clean this too. This is also, you notice I'm not cutting this because I just want to see what it fully is, right? So we're gonna just lift this ever so slightly, peel away any glass pieces. Guys, what tools you use to do things until you have to actually do them. It looks like I got to keep pretty much the entire glue strip, which is nice, because you don't always get that. You often have to replace it with different glue. And I don't like replacing glue because if you use the wrong kind, it can actually damage the screen. Okay, so there is the entire back plate now removed. So we're gonna now flip this back upside down, keeping our garbage screen with us, and we're gonna clean off this as best we can for any debris that could get under the screen. So we don't obviously don't want that. So now we've got to get this part out, right? So like, how in the hell do you do that, you might be wondering. So there are pins. Here's a hinge pin right there and right there. This one is a bushing, so it's technically, you can roll this up, because we don't care about this one as much. I'm actually going to cut this one. We don't care about this one as much. This has to come off one way or the other. Okay? So I don't care about it in this case, because it's going to happen one way or the other. Being extra careful not to cut the fucking red cable. Pardon my language. That red cable is your, yeah, that red cable is your antenna. You cut that, you don't get Wi-Fi. Okay, we're going to tidy up some of the garbage because we obviously don't want to hang on to that. And plus, I mean, it's messy. I have an e-waste bin, so you get to put all the fun stuff in one place. So that I can take it to my e-waste partner. Give me a couple bucks for it. Okay, so we need to get these hinge pins out, right? I see why her hinge was a little loose. Okay, I'm gonna try to might need these ones. Might do. Now I'm gonna grab my Nintendo Switch toolkit because one of the cool things it has is a pair of curved nose tweezers. And those are particularly good when you need to work something out. Open. Okay. Okay, so you can see they're curved. So I can get them in like, my hope is to get them in like this, squeeze, and then pull. Maybe not. Oh boy, that is a tough one. I feel like there should be a trick to this. Okay, I will show you the trick, but I'm going to go find the trick. Okay guys, so we took a moment to kind of look into this process. So instead of gnarling up that pin more, we went and looked into like what the actual procedure is for removing. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's not a lot of information out there regarding this because for some reason they just really, I mean, they don't like people working on their own stuff. That's pretty normal, honestly. That's kind of like the general mentality. So what I was told though is to focus on having it like this and then to try and pull it open. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna lay this out because a lot of people doing these are not laying this process out for people. So this stupid fucking thing, this is your hinge pin. So it goes in, it hides in this cylinder, and it keeps the top and bottom, like it's what allows it to lock and click. You have to remove that to get the top part off, obviously, so you can feed the cable through here for the new LCD. Now, just something to note for people that are doing these, you have to, a lot of people are doing them closed, and that is like the hardest way to do it. I had to do a bunch of research to find this out. I was the one trying to do it while it was closed. You don't do it while it's closed, you do it while it's open. Okay? So you take this piece out. Okay. Now I just want to look at get some light in there. I want to see what shape that actually is. But I'm going to put that on the magnet mat. It doesn't seem like it wants to roll away. So now we have loosened it up. Pull it away. So it's you lift this part up so it's past, kind of like that. And then you push very gently. So then the bushing and the red wire come loose. Bushing, red wire. Loose. No longer where it belongs, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So this is the bushing. This is going to be, you probably want to keep this kind of like away from things while you're getting ready to put the new cable on. And again, clean this. Make sure there is nothing that could scratch or apply reverse pressure on the new screen. So like if you got little pieces of glass in here, for example, you don't want those. You got teeny tiny pieces of glass. You want to get rid of all of them. Just going to really quickly fix my tweezers a little bit. Being a little rough on them. So you can see there's like, yeah. So what I would do at this point, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my little hand vacuum. If you don't like spending money on compressed air, this is a good little investment for you. Okay? I think I spent $25. Okay? And it's reversible, so it can work as compressed air. I'm just cleaning off the bristles really quick here. Okay, so we've figured out tricks, and I'm gonna lay this out for anybody doing this, so that way people know how to remove that hinge pin, because honestly, it is easily the most annoying part about this repair. And this is the general shape of the hinge pin. So you can see it's got rounded edges and then one tapered edge right there. So that's where it's flat. Okay, so we're going to take this away because we obviously don't need this part right now. This is the bottom screen and is not the problem. Okay, it's on there. It's with the rest of the parts. Okay. All right, we're going to take a second to open up our new one. We'll be right back. Okay. We got our screen. We confirmed it is the right one. I've peeled up this corner ever so slightly. And I'm not going to use the curved ones because I don't want to accidentally touch the actual LCD. And I've kind of gotten it so that I can get it very gently. You want to avoid touching this with your bare hands, because once you've got something on here, it's not coming off. It's very difficult to remove fingerprints from these. Okay, we're going to drop it into the housing really gently. Okay, this is where that outer glue strip is going to come in handy. Again, being really, 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 really gentle. This is dirty. The lens is dirty, but that's not because of it. Okay. So now we're getting into the trickier parts because we need to do this without bending or warping cables. at least not too much. Okay. Okay. Gently pinching so it stays kind of flat, but don't pinch too hard. It's very easy to break these. Now this is where that bushing comes in handy. That's the whole purpose of that thing. Okay. So what I've seen people do to get this part done is they grab their tweezers like so, and if it will cooperate. Ribbon cables are a bitch. It doesn't matter what they're for. They're a bitch. I hate ribbon cables. This part kind of sucks, so just be like super duper freaking gentle. Okay, so the main part of that is being like really gentle as you're doing this part, because you need to roll that all the way up into this little space down here. So you got to get it onto the ribbon cable first. And once it's there, okay, then you hold that, and you just very gently work it. Being ever so careful not to tear the actual cable. All right, we're taking one more break. Okay, an immense amount of patience and some figuring things out. So we're basically ready to put the bottom half of the other half of the case. I was like, what, am I doing this wrong? No, I'm not doing this wrong. This is supposed to stick out a little. And when you put it through the loop of the other part, I'll go get that right now. Okay, so there's the top half. Let's just feed this red wire through first. Okay, there we go. Nice and easy. Just grab some tweezers so I can just lift it. Okay. Continuing. Now we're gonna need to roll this up a little bit so we can actually get it through here. I see why people were doing the bushing the way that they were. Okay, I'm just gonna pull this back a little. Being really gentle and slow, because I am a person who understands how delicate and sensitive ribbon cables are, and I hate them. Okay, so this is what they recommend doing when you're getting ready to put this part back in. So yeah, I'm not a person that dives into these blind. I don't like that. I feel like that's bad technician work, right? I'm just really gentle with this part too, because you don't want to pinch things. These cables, they take no effort at all to break, right? So I just have them. keep messing with my own lighting. You know, the same person who was kind of given some bad advice on this, or at least using the wrong things, was also the same guy that said use super glue on this ribbon cable. I'm going to tell you right now, if you see anybody saying use super glue inside the electronics this close to the screen, run. Find a different video. Super glue is probably one of the worst things you can use inside a system. They are, well, quite frankly, it's acidic, so it will break things. It's more likely to break something than it is to fix it. So you want to use it on things that are not acidic or not so sensitive, because the LCD component is really, really sensitive. So like, even like you're seeing, like, I'm babying it as far as like, okay, see how easy that freaking hinge went in? Super easy. Frustratingly easy, perhaps. Now, if you want to use a different type of adhesive, that's probably fine. I just don't trust super glue with something so delicate. Okay, so we're gonna bend this ever so slightly. Okay, so now we're ready to reconnect this cable to the actual part of the device that it actually lives with. Again, I am debating doing adhesive for right here. It's a little too out. The adhesive under the glass seems to be holding just fine, so I'm not super worried about that part. So we got our hinge back in. We got our cabling through the bushing. You have to roll it up into a little cylinder, and then you put the bushing over it, and it kind of holds it in place until you can get this part done. Okay, so this is where that lift gate comes in. I did close them all prior to continuing, so we'll just kind of really gently use this to help angle all of this into the right direction. Okay, again, being like really, really gentle. Cannot stress that enough when you're working on small electronics. Okay. Want to get that as straight as possible when you're plugging these little ribbon cables in. The irritating part about this is when you try to close it, it'll try and it might try and come out when you try and close it. Now, I feel that in a lot of ways we're good enough for a test. You need to make sure that the cable can flex the way that it needs to as you open and close it. Again, checking that part, right? So you need to see that it's going to move a little, and that's fine. Bring a little bit more back this way. Okay. You have to like finesse this part a little bit. Right, because you need it just enough for it to be able to move right here. Okay, so I think we got good flex the way that it's supposed to be. Ribbon cable's doing its stuff the way I want it to. There we go. I'm happy with that. So I can get pulled closed or pulled open. We're gonna do a really quick test power. I only do these test powers when I have to go so far in to fix something. So I will put enough of this together to check, like just to make sure that it's gonna boot that screen the way that it needs to, that everything's working. Okay, so that's the Wi-Fi antenna we just connected. I've got to shift some things around here. Our new 3D printer is back here and I haven't set it up yet. Okay, so this wire will get held down better when it's actually connected. Like there's a little plastic piece that goes with this that actually will stop it from it'll stop it from well, I think you get what I'm trying to say. It'll So I'm just pushing that red wire back into its track. Well, this is good enough. I've got it enough that I can put the battery in. And so we'll then try to fire it up and make sure that the top screen loads the way it's supposed to. It might not like that it's missing some things, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, So we're just gonna go grab the battery really quick. I will be peeling off that adhesive layer because I don't want it on there. I find that they can boot just fine without cameras. Excuse the expletive deleted. I don't know. Excuse that thing that I just did. Okay, so we're just gonna peel that off. That battery. Well, actually, I can probably go back on and it can stay on there. So we'll just. Okay, it should be good enough for a boot up. Right. Hey, look at that. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, we're looking good. We're looking good. This needs to be powered off so we can finish up. I'm happy with that because now all we have left to do is the camera and the top plate. I'll probably put the top plate in place and then start working on the camera stuff. So let's just, I'm happy to see that we got a proper video image on the upper screen. Looks good, it's nice and clean, no lines, no dead pixels that I could see. So we're gonna just take a moment and grab our replacement plate and then the cover panel that'll go above that once it's all done. Okay, this just needs to be moved. Okay. Okay. Okay, we got some screws to put back in. I'm just gonna put some foam underneath this because I don't want to. Okay. Just change our screw head so it's the right one. Okay, so we got 4 of these bad boys. The way it was actually funny to see, because iFixit has a version of this repair. And they're a great resource. I recommend them in most cases, but I would say not for this one. And that's because the way that they do the top lid is they actually just straight up tear the front off of it. And it actually rips the screws out of their place. So I don't really like that. I feel like that's kind of sloppy. Same with the guy putting razor blades right next to the flex cables and stuff. So it's like, I'm not going to pretend that like even that I use, oh no, I use the proper stuff all the time. Where did it go? Tell you right now, dropping screws really sucks when you can't see. That is a piece of gravel. You know, honestly, this is one of the rare cases that's going to be totally fine that I did not grab the one. 3 out of 4. Good enough. Good enough. Okay, so we're going to put this plastic plate back in place. right? We are gonna heat it up a little and push on it after we've heated it so that the glue reseats properly. I don't want any edges sticking up, right? Okay. And now we're going to be extra careful now because now we do have a screen that we care about on the other side of this. My workspace is becoming a mess. I hate small electronics for this exact reason. Okay, so we're going to split up this. Okay. Well, that one corner's still a little loose. We might apply a little bit more of a treatment once this is a little more put together. Plus, I don't want foam underneath it while I'm doing this because, like you can see, it's kind of melting a little. So let's continue with the process of putting this bad boy back together. So we have to put a couple of things back in place to put other pieces of hardware back in place. So we have other ribbon cables here, right? We got our first one, which is going to be the camera. It is this one. Before we put the camera back in place, we got to pop this ambient sensor also back into place. I believe it goes. Honestly, I'm going to pull the red cable out of the way just for a moment while we're working on the other part. Okay, and just gets plugged in right here. All right, so we disconnected the red cable just to kind of like give us some flexibility because it's kind of in the way when we're trying to put stuff in here. This first one has now been reinstalled, which is just the ambient light sensor. So we're going to grab the actual camera, and I believe, oh, whoa, what's going on here? Fucking lens cover. So confused as to what just happened there. Oh, I see. Okay, I think we got it now. I just had to fix that because there was the lens cover and it looks like it came out with the camera component, and I think, don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to. I feel like it's in upside down. Most certainly is. Okay, now we're gonna Lift up that gate. There we go. Close that gate. Now, I think the most annoying one, maybe this is my opinion, I think the most annoying one is going to be the one on the back plate. That's the camera. It's the front-facing cameras. Okay, so let's put you. Oh, crap. I think the camera has to go in second to the piece I was just working on. I'm just going to really quickly lift it out of the way. Just figuring out how that piece goes in there so I can set it in. Fuck. Don't like handling these pieces for any longer than necessary, because that's just asking for it. Okay, so that's the first part. Okay, and that's fixed, so we'll put the camera back in place. Fucking red cable. They're always in the way. am I struggling so much with this? There. That was rough. I don't know why I struggled so much with that. Okay, so now we're putting this back in place. Okay, so we're gonna, let's just pull this off really quick here because it's gonna be easier to clip it into its loop. Okay, now the red cable gets its pinning. Come on, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna go get us a screw because I have to hold that in place while I tighten this down. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna just lift up on that ever so gently, so that way it can go where it's going, not for any other reason. Okay, slip that cable back into its port. Yep, there we go. Everything looks like it's all prim and proper so far. I guess we'll find out. Just going to connect it to its feed. Do that part first and then I'll feed the cable where it goes. My eyes are getting tired. This is frustrating. Oh, my back is killing me. Okay, that looks like it's all where it's supposed to be now. Okay. Oh, goodness. I'll pull my chair closer. Huh. All right. Let's look at. I have limited space in here, so we're still getting moved in. All right. So we got all of our ribbons done. Just trying to get this one to stay where I put it. However, I don't imagine that it's going to do that. So we're going to put the other screw to hold the camera assembly in. Goes right there. Just also checking my camera angles because partway through this video I did have to switch phones, which I do a lot of my filming with. So we're going to, there we go, that's done. All right. So now we're on to installing the back plate, which is a lot harder than it sounds, actually. These two parts, it's where the, what are they called? Oh boy, getting tired. Yeah, that's where the speaker assemblies go. And then the volume switch. Which it looks like Alright. I don't like this part. Waiting for the volume switch to fall out. Okay, I'll do my best to show you guys this part, but this is where it gets kind of... Now we're working with the real nitty-gritty of the microelectronic part. I will say they gave you a fair bit of slack to work with in here. Now for the probably what will be the bitchiest part, which is this one right here. This is that. Oh, I don't like these. No, my hands. God, that is frustrating. I didn't know what to stand for this part, but yeah, you can see, like, there's not a lot of, like, there's no room for your hands in there. This is where my patience really gets tested. I'm already probably about 3 or 4 hours deep into this, so I'd rather just get this the fuck over with. I got other stuff I would like to work on. That was a nightmare. All right, guys, we got everything's ready to go back together. I'm gonna clip some stuff back into place. Being gentle, of course. Okay. Nice little press down all the way around. Check your buttons. Okay. Okay, let's do fresh power test. You clean that screen. It's fucking driving me crazy. All right. Looks like everything's good. Okay, so what's this? Oh, Planet Robobot demo. Okay, we're gonna. What happened? Did it turn off? Okay, it turned off. Okay, so we gotta screw some stuff down still because the outer screws are not back in place yet. Okay. Okay, let's get these last ones in. One more test with the memory card and everything. Make sure that's all tickety-boo. Don't over tighten these. They strip really easily. Then there's me like, why is it not sitting right? It seems like it's loose. And then it's like, well, if you put the screws back, it won't be. Okay. I feel like memory cards in a Nintendo 3DS is like, you know, the USB paradox where you'll never put it in right the first time. Okay, so everything seems lovely. So there you guys have it. That is how you replace the upper screen on the Nintendo 2DS. So as you can see, it was a bit of a challenge. This has been probably one of the more difficult small electronic repairs. Like, I've done phone screens before, but this was something else entirely. I think that they designed this to be evil. So I can still hear the ribbon cable crinkling around a little, so I might like pop the back off one more time just to tweak that a little. But otherwise, it seems to be working. I'm going to try not to stress too much about it because I'm going to tell her, like, I can go easy on it. And she was asking about the wobbly hinge, and it's like, it's not formally wobbly. Like, to replace the hinge, you could do that, but otherwise, I wouldn't recommend necessarily messing with it too much. While we were doing all this, like, yeah, we had to, like, we got paid pretty okay for it. We are doing a bunch of these repairs, and some of them are our first times, but like, I'm very experienced with electronics repairs, so this is pretty average for me. So this is, I would not recommend doing this just randomly. Don't just try and, hey, I want to take this apart for no reason whatsoever. I would recommend maybe kind of hanging back and getting somebody to do this professionally, like us. Like, you can ship your stuff into us and we'll take care of it for you. Yeah, it's pretty rough. this is a rough repair. So thanks for checking out the stream space. I'm Pydera. You can find me over on YouTube, Pydera Space 74. That's probably where you're watching this. Over on Twitch, Pydera_74. And there's a bunch of different ways you can support the channel. Of course, you can like, follow, and subscribe. That's the best way. I mean, it's a good place to start. But in addition to that, you can also you can support some of our other things. So we have a partnership with W.GG. They make energy drink mix cans. You can also actually get like sweaters, tumblers, and hats. Kind of some cool swag to go with it, and some of it's anime themed. So I mean, if you're into that, then that sounds like it might be your jam. In addition to that, there is our eBay page, which is ebay.ca/svretrotech. You can buy games, collectibles, consoles. Like, we're kind of branching out into a little bit of everything over there. We're pretty reasonable on our shipping, I think. So, I mean, you go over there, check it out. You might see something that you're looking for, especially if you are a Power Rangers fan, because we have some of our duplicates on there, and they are unopened. So, fun fact. You can also go to probably the most direct way to support us, which is through the tipping link on the channel. You can go to Streamlabs, and the link is in the bio, and you can support us through that, and that is the most direct way. And we'll make sure you get a shout out and a say in some future content. Thanks for checking it out, guys, and I'll catch you next time.